Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. I'm your host, the Game Master, and this one is not going to actually be the story of what happened in game. It's going to be me talking about the day that I met Dean Cain, which, in my humble opinion, was a pretty weird day. Um, you're probably here to hear about the Dean Cain part, so let's just do that part first, and then I'll talk about some other stuff. So we get to the convention and there's like nobody there, right? And I'm not sure because in my mind there's three reasons that could be. The first is people could just hate his politics and not want to meet him, right? That's possible. The second is not well, about 6 months, I guess, before the convention, a train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, which is extremely close to where this convention was. And by the way, when we rolled into town, you could still smell it in the air. And at one point, we got a drink at a fast food place, and for those that don't know, they mix syrup with the tap water when you like go through a McDonald's drive-through and order a Coke or something. So the drink from that McDonald's tasted like it had an oil spill on it. You know what I mean? So we threw it out. Obviously, we didn't drink it. Um, but I think people were afraid to go because of that. And then the third thing was where they have this convention, it's an old school and it's sealed up all summer just baking. And it is so hot in there, right? And the building itself is in kind of a state of disrepair. And so when Dean Cain was there, it was like the second annual Salem Comic Con, the first being the one I mentioned in yesterday's video. But I think it's possible people went and didn't like how dang hot it was because like a lot of the windows were like painted shut and stuff and they couldn't crack a window, and I mean it must have been like 100 degrees in there. It was just awful. So I think there were a lot of people that just were unimpressed by the con itself and didn't want to go back. But for whatever reason, I mean there was like nobody there, and you'd look around at all the vendors and stuff and like none of them were selling anything. So it was weird, right? And whereas uh, when we met John Wesley Shipp, we were kind of the last ones in line, and therefore we had more time to spend with him. It was kind of the other way around with Dean Cain, where we were actually at the front of the line. And so where we were waiting was a hallway where you're just sort of like leaning against lockers. Cause again, this is an old school, right? So everybody's like just in this hallway leaning against a locker. And they open up a classroom for us to go in there and meet them. And I don't know, I was maybe number 20 in line, something like that. And so I'm looking at him from kind of a distance, and he seems sort of like jolly, and he's very calm, and he's being very polite, and to an extent, things are a little boring. And so we're waiting on our turn, and finally it gets to be our turn, and we go up and he shakes my hand and he says, "Hi, I'm Dean." And I said, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm Chris Kent." And he does like a double take and he's like, "What did you just say?" And I laughed a little and I said, "We're the Kent family." And he's like, "Are you messing with me?" I was like, "No." And I got out my wallet, and like you had to do that anyways to pay for autographs and stuff. So like I get out my wallet and I show him my driver's license. And he's like, "Oh my God, you're the real deal, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, at any rate, so this is my wife, Rachel, and this is our son, Christopher the second." And he does like another one of these double takes and he goes, "You're kidding me." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "My son's Christopher the second." I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "My dad was a Christopher." And I was like, "Interesting." And so this is starting to like there's a weird vibe going on, right? And so he would then say something that was like on a scale of 1 to 10, measuring how funny the comment was, he would make a little comment that would be like a 1, right? And then I would say something back to him that was like a 2. And then he would play off of that and he'd say something that was like a 3. And so we start doing this back and forth thing. And as it turns out, we seem to have the same sense of humor. And so, and I think we're the same age too, but at any rate, um, we start kind of joking around, and I can't even remember what he said now. It's been so long, but he told me a dirty joke, and I was just so weirded out that on some level in my mind, I'm like, wow, Superman just told me a dirty joke. Huh, that's weird. You know what I mean? And and so I don't know, we take a selfie together or whatever. We have multiple pictures from that day. Um, but at any rate, so I asked him the thing. I was like, so here's what we're doing is we are meeting these different celebrities now, and we're getting them to play in the game. And so we'd love it if you do that. And he was like, sure, man. And I was like, cool. So you're Superman. And he's like, uh-huh. And I was like, and it's your day off and there's no crime to fight. And he sort of gave me this look like it was like what I said was stupid. And he's like, really? Like there's nothing at all anywhere in the world that needs done. And I said, well, I'm trying to give you an easy question because you don't know the rules to the game and if you're just saying what you want to do on your day off, generally speaking, that doesn't involve rolling dice or rules or anything. And he's like, ah, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And I was like, so at any rate, hypothetically, it's your day off, and amazingly enough, there's no crime to fight or anything like that. What do you do? And so, without missing a beat, Dean Cain says, I want to go to Paradise Island and check out Wonder Woman with my X-ray vision. Yeah. I'm like, are you serious? And he just gives me the biggest, goofiest grin. And like I couldn't tell if it was a joke. Because like I said, he already told me like a dirty joke earlier. Um, and I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, what? And so as the game master, if someone was playing an original character that they themselves created, my take on that is that the player is therefore the expert. And whatever the player says that character would do, the player is right because he made the character, right? But in my game, when you are playing some famous character that somebody else made up, I feel like it's my job to not let you ruin that character in our continuity, right? And not act um in do something that the character wouldn't do. And so for sure, I don't think Superman would do that. And I start to go into game master mode with Dean Cain, and here's the guy who um is kind of I don't know how to put it. Like other people were going up and shaking his hand and stuff and like acting like he was Superman, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, no, you're out of character. Like you're wrong. Superman would never do that. And like before I could really do much of that, um our turn was over. We had to get out of the line and make room for the next person. And it just blew my mind. That was not how I thought that was going to go at all. Um, and my wife, I'm not gonna get into it too much, but my wife these days now is in a wheelchair, and her back just always hurts. You know what I mean? And so it was like a long drive to go to this convention. so on and so forth. She was ready to leave. She's like, we got his signature. Let's just go home. Like, my back is killing me. So we did. We left kind of early. And like the whole way home, I was like, what do you even do with that experience? Like, how do we possibly turn that nonsense into an actual game? And like, I was kind of mad. I was just like, man, I can't believe I drove all this way for like, and that was his answer. You know what I mean? Um, so, and then the other thing that kind of weirded everybody out was like with my kids. They, on some level, they had it in their head that like, oh yeah, we're gonna go meet Superman. That's what we're doing today. We're gonna meet the Superman. You know what I mean? And instead, from their point of view, what they got was that guy acts just like dad, telling dirty jokes and um kind of, I don't know what word I want to use, like getting verbally rowdy. I don't really know how to describe it. Um they were super weirded out by that, and they were like, what's messed up is like you play Superman Red all the time in the game. You're kind of another Superman, and then you were hanging out with the guy who was arguably Superman Blue in our game, and that was weird. They were like, it was weird seeing you guys get along, and I don't know. I guess I can't put it into words. It was a very strange day. It was not. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. At any rate, in tomorrow's video, I'm going to share with you the game that we played that was inspired by that encounter, and how we dealt with that. So be sure to check that out. As far as today's video goes, I hope that you found it to be interesting. If so, as always, smash that like button. Make sure you're still subscribed. Ring the bell for notifications, and leave us a comment because that's good for the YouTube algorithm. And I like hearing from you. I like to hear your thoughts. Um, but yeah, that's it for me today. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you in the next adventure. Bye.